Good, happy Friday morning, May 15, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Friday morning, so let's begin. First step, one additional COVID-19 related death announced. 84 new cases. Antibody testing being provided. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Chapel Tractor has been in our family since 1955, when great-grandfather Pearlie and grandfather George decided.
And tonight, global coronavirus deaths now top 300,000. Good evening, I'm Tom Griffith. According to Johns Hopkins University, cases since the pandemic began now total more than 4.4 million. Here in the Granite State, 84 new cases reported tonight, bringing the total positive tests to more than 3,300. There has been one new death for a total of 151. Close to 40% of patients have recovered. That's more than 1,200 people. For the fifth week in a row, new unemployment claims fell in New Hampshire, but officials are predicting the actual unemployment rate to hit about 20%.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at your coronavirus in New Hampshire, what you need to know. And here is a look at that coronavirus in New Hampshire, what you need to know. There are 3,382 number of people in New Hampshire who have tested positive for COVID-19. 1,388,000 number of people in the United States who have tested positive. 151 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 330 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And 83,715 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. This map of New Hampshire shows you where current cases of COVID-19 are in towns and cities of New Hampshire. Derry, 176. And this map of New Hampshire shows you total cases of COVID-19 in New Hampshire and towns and cities. Derry, 255. And now let's take a look at these charts here. Let's begin with the new cases each day in New Hampshire. In the purple, daily new positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, new hospitalizations. And in the red, deaths. This chart here shows you current cases. In the purple, current COVID-19 cases. And in the orange, current hospitalizations. This chart here shows you total cases. Total COVID-19 cases, total hospitalizations are in the orange, deaths are in the red and blue, recovered. This chart here shows you by age group. This chart here shows you by female and male, and this chart here shows you risk information. This chart here shows you race/ethnicity of cases. And this chart here shows you percent of New Hampshire population. And again, your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, chills, and difficult breathing. How it spreads, and prevention tips. Be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. Hospitals dealing with most COVID-19 cases say they're not getting enough federal funds. Officials say lack of elective procedures has hurt revenue. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Some work can't stop because our communities need you, which is why we're working to keep you working, to help you keep homes and properties maintained, your farm running, and construction moving. Your work is essential, and we're here to help. Together, we will get through this. Take advantage of 0% financing on Kubota equipment. No payments for 90 days. Offer expires May 31st.
They treat the majority of hospitalized COVID-19 patients in New Hampshire, but Catholic Medical Center and Elliott Hospital say they're receiving a disproportionately small amount of the federal money reserved for hospitals.
These formulas are not getting to the hospitals that need it the most.
CMC estimates losses this fiscal year could reach $70 million. The postponement of elective surgeries for 2 months took a massive financial hit. Yet even now, as those procedures gradually resume, the hospital says it's seeing an increase in COVID cases.
Last week, for example, we had a couple of open heart surgeries that we had to reschedule because our ICU was getting pretty close to capacity with COVID patients.
Manchester's hospitals say much of the federal relief has gone to rural hospitals or those in COVID hotspots. CMC and Elliott don't fall into either category. The two facilities say they've treated 61% of New Hampshire's COVID patients, but have only received 9% of the federal money.
To not receive federal funding that reflects the reality here in the state is very frustrating.
The urban healthcare systems in New Hampshire are really struggling, and the formulas that they're using to distribute resources aren't touching us, even though we're bearing the brunt of the pandemic right now.
And that could have major implications. Elliott has already postponed an expansion of its emergency department.
We can't sustain these types of losses and continue to do business as usual.
The hospitals are working with New Hampshire's federal delegation to try to get the money that they need. The governor telling us tonight that there will be additional rounds of funds in the form of hundreds of millions of dollars to go where the money is needed. Reporting live in Manchester, Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Massachusetts casinos to remain closed through May aimed coronavirus outbreaks. The state's slots parlor and casinos will remain closed until at least June 1st. And each establishment is developing a plan to open with limited capacity, health screenings, and temperature checks for all employees, physical distance reminders, and at the casinos, voting booth like plexiglass dividers at gaming tables. The gaming commissioner met remotely Thursday afternoon to begin talking with its 3 licensed casinos about the plans for each facility has in mind for whenever they are allowed to reopen. The commission also voted Thursday to extend its mandate shutdown to at least June 1st. Amber Alert issued for missing Maine girl. Audrey is believed to be with her parents, who were last seen in Van Buren Thursday night. Here is a photo of that missing girl and her 2 parents. As you can see, this is the missing girl, and here are the 2 parents right here. State police have issued an Amber Alert for a 3-year-old girl who may be endangered and is believed to be with her parents, who were last seen in Van Buren Thursday night. Their daughter, Audrey, has blonde hair and brown eyes. The girl and her parents are believed to be in a 1985 gray Ford Crown Victoria with a 5-inch wide maroon strip and main license plate 219VW. Here is another photo of that missing girl. And you can see the license plate number as well right here. The girl's mother lives in Van Buren, and her father lives in Chester, which is near Lincoln. The girl's mother is 39 years old and 5'11" tall and 230 pounds, with blonde hair and blue eyes. She is 37 to 5 to 8 inches tall and 140 pounds, with brown hair and eyes. Sorry about that. The father is 39, 5'11" tall, 230 pounds, and her mother is 37, 5'8" tall, 140 pounds, with brown hair and eyes. And the father has blonde hair and blue eyes. Anyone seeing the car, the missing girl, and her parents are asked to call State Police in Augusta at 207-624-7064. And again, here is a photo of them and information on the father and mother. Or call 911 if you see them. Coronavirus updates. Stay-at-home order extended. Central New York cleared to begin reopening. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC 7NY.
Network with more towers, more engineers, and more coverage. You'll get the best 5G network and the best prices. Welcome to T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network.
mentioned, large sections of upstate New York are allowed to partially reopen right after midnight. In order to reopen, regions have to hit 7 benchmarks involving new cases, hospital capacity, and testing. So far, New York City has only met 4 of those 7, while Long Island and the Mid-Hudson region have met 5. Meanwhile, the NYPD is not talking reopening, but rather closing. Commissioner Shea says police are considering closing parts of Central Park this weekend to prevent overcrowding.
Essentially what we're doing is we're going to take confined spaces where we've seen some overcrowding in parks, where it's logistically feasible to do. Think of a fenced-in field, and we're going to control the access point.
The commissioner says a similar program could be in place in parts of Hudson River Park.
A fevered pitch of criticism tonight against the health commissioner of New York City. She is under criticism for...
Okay, and there you go on that video. As you heard, the stay-at-home order extended there in New York. But some parts of New York will be opening. Parts of Virginia to enter first phase of reopening on Friday, today. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC 7 WJLA News.
Tonight, our first chance to see what phase 1 will look like in our area. But first, take a look at your screen right now. At least a dozen counties and cities delaying reopening. So if you see where you live labeled, you have got to wait. Just outside of that stay-at-home zone now is Stafford and Fredericksburg. ABC 7's Annalisa Gale takes us to Fredericksburg, where businesses are getting ready to reopen with a new normal.
This is usually a really busy time of year for restaurants. That's not going to happen this year.
With restaurants struggling to stay afloat, many are excited to slowly reopen.
It almost seems like tomorrow's going to be like St. Patrick's Day. You know, we don't know what to expect.
While Governor Ralph Northam has delayed the reopening of Northern Virginia, neighboring areas like Fredericksburg and Stafford County are preparing for phase 1, which means non-essential retail stores and places of worship can operate at half their usual volume. Restaurants like J. Bryan's Tap Room are able to open their outdoor patios at 50% capacity. Owner Mike Mansfield is preparing to be at capacity for most of the day on Friday. He's also following the guidelines by putting chairs and tables 6 feet apart.
We want to do something. Everybody wants to work, you know, just get busy. But we want to take every precaution also. It's a little scary, but we're ready.
In Stafford County, Board of Supervisors Chairman Meg Bomke says officials there will reopen county office buildings at 8 a.m. on Friday.
We're taking a lot of precautionary measures. We are asking people to wear masks. It's not mandatory. They will have their temperature checked. We're making our decisions based on our metrics and the data. And had our data looked anywhere like Northern Virginia, you know, perhaps we would have been joining with them.
For many, it's still a waiting game to see how the next few days will play out. Mansfield is worried that people could travel from neighboring counties where stay-at-home orders are still in effect.
We do want to take it serious.
In Fredericksburg, Annalisa Gale, ABC 7 News.
Take a look at this now. Comparing the number of COVID-19 cases, Stafford is bordered by Prince William County in the north and Fauquier on the west. And you can see the difference in cases and why Prince William is delaying and the others are moving forward. All right, now this...
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. North Carolina coronavirus update. Free testing will be available for all North Carolina correctional staff members. Also, the Durham County Department of Public Health reports 17 new positive cases of COVID-19, raising the county total to 949. Health officials continue to monitor outbreaks at 4 long-term care facilities and 1 crisis and assessment center. 111 of those cases reported in Durham Nursing Home and Rehabilitation Center, 79 at Tyburn Rehabilitation Center, 5 at Durham Recovery Response Center, 3 at Caver Rehabilitation and Living Center, and 2 at Hillcrest Convalescent Center. Gardens malls reopening with increased regulations and cleaning. Social distancing and sanitizing have become priorities. Let's take a listen to that video from WPBF 25 News in Florida.
The name you trust for new cars is the name you trust for pre-owned. With certified pre-owned Hondas. Inspected, reconditioned, and like new. With roadside assistance, 2 complimentary oil changes, and a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Test drive one at your local Honda dealer today.
It's been about 2 months now since the Gardens Mall here closed. Those doors have been locked ever since, but 11 o'clock Friday morning, they will finally reopen. But they'll do it without every store reopening and with an awful lot of changes.
These are our decals. They'll be throughout the mall in heavily trafficked areas.
Decals to keep people 6 feet apart. That's just one of the many changes Gardens Mall management has made as they prepare to reopen on Friday.
We're really excited. We feel like it's the day before Christmas morning.
You notice the first change as soon as you walk in the door. Extra hand sanitizing stations throughout the mall. The most obvious difference is in the food court, where seating has been significantly reduced by 75%. Every clean table will have one of these on them, letting you know the table is sanitized. When you throw away your food, you throw away the safety card.
And that will signal for our housekeeping team to come sanitize the table again and then replace it with a fresh coaster once it's ready to go.
Elevators are now only for people with physical ailments or with strollers. And speaking of strollers, you can no longer rent one here, but you can buy one for $20, all proceeds going to the Quantum House. Mall employees will be more visible, available to answer questions, and also armed with cleaning equipment.
Anywhere we see that needs cleaned, if we see a guest has touched something, we can be right behind them and very mobile throughout the center.
And every mall employee will be wearing a mask. They hope customers will also wear a mask, but it's not mandatory.
We're taking the utmost precautions for the safety of our guests, and we're hoping that our guests will do the same out of respect for our other guests shopping in the center.
And as I mentioned, not every store in the mall will be reopening on Friday. In fact, only about 40 or so will be open. Another 15 will be offering curbside service. For a list of the stores that are open, you can go to our website, WPBF.com. In Palm Beach Gardens, Ari Height, WPBF 25 News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Thunderbirds flyover. Here's the Los Angeles schedule and flight path for the aerial show honoring SoCal frontline workers. And that flyover will be today in California. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC7 in California.
$29 a month. Find new roads at your Southern California Chevy dealers.
World-famous U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds are doing a flyover of Southern California to thank healthcare workers. Tonight, we talked to one of the elite pilots about what this means to them. The Thunderbirds released the flight path today for Friday's America Strong flyover.
Captain Kyle Oliver told us they map each flyover out with a goal of covering as much ground as possible.
We start with a map of the hospitals that have been the most affected in our target cities. So our flight surgeon provides us that with some of the hospitals that have been worst hit, and we start there.
The flight path will start in the Laguna Beach area at 1:35 p.m., then pass north over Orange County before swooping up to El Monte and west to downtown Los Angeles, over to Santa Monica and through Manhattan Beach to Long Beach, over the waters of Huntington and Newport beaches, back inland towards Santa Ana, heading east toward Moreno Valley and circling Riverside before ending at about 2:10 p.m. Another quick flyover will happen at 3:05 p.m. going from the Oxnard area through Simi Valley and past Santa Clarita.
To be able to be a symbol of essentially our nation's thanks to those medical professionals, to frontline responders, to all the essential workers, everybody doing their part during this COVID crisis has been incredible.
The Thunderbirds normally fly at air shows every weekend and typically only do flyovers for high-profile events like the Super Bowl.
To do these flybys not only as frequently as we are, but over major metropolitan areas is certainly a change.
Emotional for people on the ground, an honor for pilots in the sky.
It's really, really cool to see flags waving. You can see people appropriately socially distanced on the roofs of hospitals and parking garages, things like that.
The flyover will last about 30 minutes. Air 7 HD will be tracking the flyover, and you can watch it live on the ABC7 app.
Okay, and there you go. Stock features point to a positive open after Thursday's strong gains on Wall Street. U.S. stock features edge higher Friday morning following a sharp rally during the regular session on Thursday as investors awaited several key data sets. Chair of Senate Intelligence Committee steps down. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Republican Senator Richard Burr has now stepped aside from his post heading the Intelligence Committee after the FBI served a warrant. They now have his cell phone over stock market trades as this was all beginning to unfold. Here's Pierre Thomas.
With the FBI intensifying its investigation into possible insider trading, Richard Burr today stepping aside as chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee.
This is a distraction to the hard work of the committee and the members, and I think the security of the country is too important.
Overnight, agents serving Burr with a warrant, then confiscating his cell phone from his Washington home.
That's part of the investigation, and everybody ought to let this investigation play out.
The FBI wants to know if Burr used intelligence information about the coronavirus for financial gain by selling stocks just before the market cratered. The senator selling up to $1.7 million in travel and hotel investments just a day after a closed-door briefing on the impact of the virus. Burr has denied any wrongdoing and insists he made those decisions based on public news reports.
The allegations are troubling.
But Burr is not the only senator facing scrutiny for stock market trades as the crisis unfolded. Dianne Feinstein today saying she answered questions from the FBI and turned over documents she says show she had no involvement in her husband's transactions.
Senator Loeffler, were you contacted by the FBI over your stock trades?
Senator Kelly Loeffler today not taking questions but again denying any improper trading after selling off stocks the same day she was briefed on the virus back in January. Loeffler, whose husband is the chair of the New York Stock Exchange, insisting their investments are handled by a third party. And she says she's not been served with any search warrant. Burr had called for an ethics investigation, and today he told us he's cooperated since the beginning. But make no mistake, this is a serious investigation involving the highest levels of the Justice Department, David.
All right, Pierre, thank you again.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And thank you for joining us for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. and a live news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.